I want to talk about dream work and my process of soul retrieval and reintegration work, and what I've been learning about the dream world. There's a really awesome quote by Carl Jung. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. I'm a big fan of Carl Jung. And yeah, like learning about shadow work and all of that as well. So after my Aya ceremony, which I've shared about on this channel, I started keeping a dream record. So like an Excel spreadsheet of all my dreams, when they happened, all of the imagery, the emotions, sort of like the themes of all the dreams. So some of the themes, for example, were intergenerational trauma, inner child, discernment, things like that. And I recently went to a dream interpretation workshop, which I'd like to share more about. But first I'll kind of describe what happened briefly in my dream work. And I don't have a very strict definition for what that is, but for me, dream work has been both experiencing my dreams, as anyone would, but also making conscious effort within my dreams. So I've been practicing meditation for the past 3 years, and it's a daily practice for me, and it's allowed me to be more present. And that's both in the waking world and in the sleeping world, my dreams. And for me, those two worlds have become a bit more blurred, as in the veil between night and day. And at first that was a little bit scary and strange, but as I've been learning more about things like lucid dreaming, about dream interpretation, it's actually become more interesting and a way for me to understand myself more deeply and not be afraid of whatever comes up for me. So yeah, I wanted to share that after my Aya ceremony, I did have sort of some persisting hallucinations, or they're called hypnagogic or hypnopompic hallucinations. Basically, when you wake up, there's like a flash of imagery before your eyes, which can be scary, but it also can be controlled, and it can be mitigated as well. So some of the major, I guess, accomplishments, if you could call it that, of my dream work or sort of the soul retrieval process is I basically saw broken versions of myself after my Aya ceremony in my dreams. And I realized later that these were really actually true parts of me. They were and are beings that reside within me. And a really good book that I would recommend that kind of discusses this more in depth is The Others Within Us by Robert Falconer. He talks about sort of the multiplicity of parts within us, not unlike IFS, sort of the spiritual dimension of our existence. The good news, because all of these were very terrifying images, of course, but I ended up starting a graduate program in counseling, and one of my friends was mentioning EMDR to me, which is eye movement desensitization and reprocessing therapy, which is basically like you looking at a dot go back and forth on the screen, or it could be in person as well, but it helps to integrate fragmented memories or trauma. And I had this amazing experience where I worked with an amazing therapist. She had a decolonizing lens. She was Black and Indigenous as well. It just comes from a very grounded place of spirituality. And for me, EMDR was almost like having shamanic work done, because it is derived from that. It's derived from indigenous science, as are a lot of things in therapy, Western therapy. But what I experienced in my dreams during this time was incredible. There's just no other way to describe it. It was just so amazing, life-changing. I saw those same beings, those versions of myself that were broken, my inner child, inner teenager, inner 20 self, and this time they had healing light coming from them, from their bodies and from their face specifically. I just remember seeing a white light coming from their faces. Just witnessing these broken parts of myself was inherently healing. Because that's what consciousness is. Consciousness is light. Consciousness is love. It is healing. It is God. It is the Tao. It is divine. So it's just what we need more of in this world. We need more witnessing. Just really enjoying this beautiful hike today. I think my experience has really taught me that, again, like I said in my video called The Health Impacts of Not Being Yourself, like there is deep, deep work that needs to be done for humanity and by humanity right now. We're going through such a transformational rebirth in our collective consciousness right now that is unprecedented. It is collective. It is global. Whether you believe in it or not, it's happening. And I can feel it. I can just feel it like in my blood. And in Hinduism, they call this period like Kali Yuga. And I think the Christians call it the apocalypse. But basically it's a very challenging and dark time of basically like maximum ego, like maximum selfish interest. And so you're seeing, you know, AI and like technology, all of this like greed from all of the corporations that are consolidating labor, things like that, that are really in it for the money and for the fame and the luxury and the debauchery, to be honest. And it's not pretty, but it is predictable in some ways. And I think to stay sane in this time, we have to stay free. And that doesn't mean we don't use technology. You know, I'm using a camera right now, I'm using a phone right now, I'm using a computer right now, but we use these as tools. We don't use them, we don't get used by them as tools, which I believe is what is happening as we speak. So, there are a few more things I wanted to discuss about dream work and soul retrieval. I had a lot of dreams where I've had a lot of dreams actually throughout my life where I've been flying a lot. And in the dream interpretation workshop, I learned that means I have a spiritual gift. So if you're flying in your dreams, congratulations. But after my Aya ceremony, they became a lot more vivid. And I could see myself flying through like the neighborhood I live in, flying through my parents' house or from my parents' house, flying to different parks near me. I was flying up into the cosmos, like out of my current house, things like that, where people call it the astral plane. And I am very aware of the challenges of New Age spirituality, but I do feel like there are some elements that are helpful for exploring our consciousness and our relationship with spirit, because there's just no other way to describe it. Like, it's like I could see my spirit traveling to different dimensions as I was asleep, and so cool. Like, it's like kind of fun. And I've had a lot of dreams where I've returned to my parents' house over and over and over and over again until I resolved the trauma that happened in that house with my family and the lack of relationality between family members, because I needed to resolve that within my own body and within my own consciousness, because it didn't exist in the physical plane anymore, but it does exist in another dimension, I guess you could say, on the spiritual plane. Just want to show you guys this beautiful spot that I'm at. I've done this, hiked in this area before, but I've never been to this spot, so it's really pretty. So I think the trauma can be complex, but the medicine is very simple. It is witnessing everything that is without changing it, without trying to make it conform to your standards or your expectations. This Douglas fir has been here for a couple hundred years, apparently. It's called the Big Tree Trail.